Welcome to the Coaching Edge podcast with your co-hosts, Dr. Steve Jeffs and Erwin de Grave. Each episode, we bring you expert guests and transformative coaching insights. Let's dive in.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the Coaching Edge podcast with your co-host, Dr. Steve Jeffs. I'm myself, Erwin de Grave. And today we have the pleasure to talk to Sabina Nawaz. Hello, Sabina. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Erwin. How are you?
Good, and welcome, Steve, as well, of course.
Thank you.
So, Sabina, we could try to introduce yourself, but you are the person who knows yourself much better than we do. So, who is Sabina? How did she come in coaching? What she do nowadays?
Wow, that's a big question. And I guess I'll introduce myself in 3 sentences and then give you some more of the traditional
Cool.
background. If you were to describe me, I would just in 2 words, it would be a minimalist contrarian. And if you ask me what am I paid to do, I'm paid to raise people's heart rates because as an executive coach to CEOs across the globe, leadership is not rocket science. They know what leadership is. It requires tremendous courage. And courage is when your heart is pounding and you still take action. And how did I come about the work of coaching? By sitting on a couch, eating bonbons, and doing absolutely nothing. I can give you more details on
Yes,
any
please. Interesting.
My origins, work origins, education, undergraduate and graduate is in computer science, electronics, and computer systems engineering. And I was running engineering teams at Microsoft. I was an executive there, went on a sabbatical for 8 weeks. And unlike my usual MO, which is to jam pack every minute of the day, I traveled for 3 weeks, started a nonprofit theater company, and therefore had a lot of time to sit on the couch eating bonbons, doing nothing. And as you both well know, our biggest insights come when we are doing nothing, in the shower, on our commutes, while exercising. I had this big realization during sabbatical that it was no longer a matter of if but when that I would become a corporate vice president. And at that point, that had been my big career aspiration and ambition. As an immigrant coming into the US, as a woman in technology in the 1990s, it was super important to me to be seen and recognized. But it led to a really anticlimactic moment in my life, because it turned out that the only person I needed to prove that I could make it to corporate vice president at Microsoft was myself. And once I knew that inside me, in my bones, I didn't need to go chase that anymore. I didn't need to chase this thing about a title or becoming something. I wanted to be. And what is the being? What is the being that would light me up at this point? After thinking about that, I realized I wanted to help other people become great managers. And so within Microsoft, then I spent the next 6 years running the company's leadership, executive management development programs, designing the succession planning process, working with Bill and Steve for the entire company, and so on, until I then left 20 years ago to run my own coaching practice, where I coach CEOs and I give keynotes and teach leadership development to faculty and others.
That's fascinating. I love that description of that moment, that when you realized it was if not when.
Yeah.
And then you kind of realize that, well, now that I believe that I can, do I even want this?
Yes. And so many people thought I was nuts. You're going to go into HR from engineering as a senior successful woman? What are you doing? But it actually was a very safe bet, even though it was such a big move, because my boss, of course, said, come back anytime if you want to. Yeah.
And so has been happening over the last 20 years then? So she started your own coaching business. So what has been going on there?
Mm, when I first left, it was very hard to leave. I had the best job in the world and a blank check from Steve to stay, but I chose to leave. But once I left, I was like a kid in a candy store, Erwin, getting this inside view of the C-suite of multiple organizations across the globe. Wow. So I went from the best job in the world at Microsoft to the best job in the world, period, is how I felt like about it. And as a result of that, over the years, one of the things that I have collected is 12,000 pages of verbatim feedback that people give about their bosses.
Oh, amazing.
And because I do these interview-based, as you all know, what's called 360 processes, right? So people can see in a 360-degree angle, how are they being viewed? And the thing with power is that usually people don't tell truth to power. So I come in, I extract that information for them, and it's always a surprise, and then we work on it. About 10 years ago, my husband said, why are you sitting on all this data? What are you going to do with it? This is a gold mine. This is so important and helpful. It's taken me 10 years, but I have finally written a book that
Excellent.
captures these.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's called You're the Boss by Simon and Schuster. It's just come out this year, and it captures the key themes of all that data that people say about their bosses. What are the best things? What are the worst things? And arriving at one key point, which is that it is not power that corrupts us. It is pressure that corrupts us. I mean, let me ask you this question for both of you. Have you been under pressure, tremendous pressure at any point recently?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So have you ever done something under pressure that you are not proud of?
Oh, yeah.
Are you willing to share?
Oh, that's a good question. No, it is a good question. So under pressure, so not to go in too much details, but what happens, and I'm just going to more tell you what is happening to me. When I'm
Yes.
under pressure, I need to go, I'm freaking out. And I'm just
Yes.
go like I'm starting to sweat and I'm going, I need to do something. I stop being rational and I'm just like trying to solve that, and I'm going
Yes.
really super excited. Excited. I'm going like up, 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 until
Yes.
a moment that I see that I need to calm down. And
Yep.
mostly of the times the pressure comes when there's a deadline and you need to get
Yes.
things done and it's not. But that's more what I feel what's happening.
Exactly, exactly. So imagine now that you're a manager of several people and you're untethered, is what you're describing. You're going from pillar to post, and oh, should I make a to-do list? Oh no, I don't have time for that. Should I go to a meeting? Oh, I'm triple booked. And you're waking up at 3 in the morning with your head racing. And now somebody from the team comes to you and asks you a question, and maybe they've asked you that question before. It may not go over as well as you would like to in a textbook scenario when you're not under pressure. It's easy to be our best selves when we're not under pressure. So you might get a little snippy. You might get a little go away. Why are you wasting my time? Those kinds of messages that you might emit. Now, what happens to that person? That's what I mean by pressure corrupting our actions. And then power comes in and divides us. They are not going to tell you that. They're just going to go play video games instead on work time, right? So pressure is this silent corrupter, and then power is this great divider that mutes people's voices coming up and amplifies our voices going down.
About pressure, I'm listening to you. So why is then an pressure created in the business environment? Because
Why?
as I listen to you, pressure is not good, but pressure is created with deadlines and everything else.
Oh, yes. So I think actually pressure can be very good. your proverbial making diamonds out of coal pressure. And it is not possible, as both of you know through your experience, it's not possible to ever be pressure free. That's a fantasy. So how do you make yourself pressure proof in those situations where you can get to the diamond side, not the coal side? And so I identify several pressure pitfalls and several power gaps, and then talk through how do you address them. And Erwin, to respond to just the way you act, what you said, one of the things you do under pressure where you get a little scattered and you're just doing, you're getting more frantic, perhaps more frazzled, right?
Mhm.
Well, and that's a very, very common response to work pressure. I do the same thing. I might even write something on my to-do list just to cancel it out, even though it's done. So I can feel a little relief that, oh my gosh, maybe that'll reduce some of that pressure. And my sticky notes proliferate, right? So when under pressure, the way to counteract that is to do absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. This is one of the first tools I created for my coaching clients, and it has had a transformative effect on them,
What
which is this.
what does it actually mean to do nothing? Because
Yeah,
it's paradoxical in its
yes,
description. You've got the doing, you've got the nothing.
yes.
Coaches will often say there's a space of being, but
But what does it
what
mean?
does it mean to do nothing?
Yes, yes. And isn't that nuts? I've got so much pressure to do stuff. Well, it's a practice I call blank space, and I experimented with this on my clients, and we started with 4 hours where they would unplug for 4 hours. That was too long. But what you do is you take 2 hours unplugged in the work week, not on the weekend, where you are not online, you are not researching, you are not reading, you are not talking to anybody. So the purest form of it is you simply take that time and be like, just like my couch bonbon moment, this is where your insights are going to come in. Now, that is usually, Steve, to your point, incredibly difficult for people to do, especially when they're starting out. I'm also a huge fan of micro habits. So how do you start as small as you can? Don't go too big because you'll fail and then you won't want to do it again.
Mm.
So you could, for example, instead of doing absolutely nothing, take those sticky notes that you've collected over the week, not the to-do ones, but the ideas that you might have had. Bring them with you to your blank space. This happened to one of my clients. As she looked at all her sticky notes, she realized it wasn't about any one of them. It was the sticky notes were telling a much bigger story about an entire opportunity her company was missing in the Asian market. So she wrote a memo for the board and then actually got 2 levels of promotion up to run that. That would not have happened if she'd been running around. She wouldn't have had that chance to zoom out and look at that. Okay, so that's one example.
So basically what you're saying, to understand, do nothing, and to tell the listeners, is it's not doing nothing related to the thing, the pressure point, but it's really taking out time for yourself, and dedicate those 2 hours to yourself to refuel, walk around the beach with those things to be able to come back. That's what you mean with doing nothing.
Yes, and this is not simply go take a nap because you've deprived yourself so much on sleep. It is not just refuel. It is also to be present and allow the thoughts to come out that are there. Because one of the reasons we face that pressure, we put pressure on ourselves, is I don't know what to do in this situation. And more often than not, the answer, or at least the next step, is already in there waiting to be heard inside you. So it's allowing some quiet, allowing the noise to quiet down so the key signals can start to ping.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept. I use a similar thing when I'm teaching scuba diving.
Oh,
When there's a situation when something happens,
yeah.
stop, breathe,
Mm.
and think.
Mm.
And so, especially underwater where we can't breathe, and any panicked motion can actually amplify the situations that we're in. But to be able to stop, breathe, well, I can do that. I'm doing something, but I'm also doing nothing at the same time.
Yes.
And then to think now, and to your point just a moment ago, often the solutions that were invisible in that panic pressured response suddenly become crystal clear and visible. And now there's a much more empowered response. And I can see where you're pointing to for leaders, executives, heck, even for anyone. Under the pressure, under the dynamics of life, to be able to build structures, habits, and to remember to take time to stop and breathe and have the space.
So, Steve, this is so important because what you're saying in the scuba diving situation is incredibly high stakes, life and death, not just for yourself, but possibly for your teammates.
Absolutely.
So it has to become habitual for you to be able to do that in that moment of panic.
To remember to do it when you can't remember anything else.
Yes. So that's not going to happen if I were to go scuba diving for the first time and I go, I'm never going to remember that because it's not in my muscle memory. One of the keys here is to build that practice, to build that muscle strength when the stakes are not high, so you can then do it when they are.
Absolutely. And to have structures and support in place to help you. So if we were to go diving, I would be your structure to help you remember to stop and breathe and think.
Exactly.
And we would be doing that in relatively low pressure circumstances.
Yes.
But I love that point of we've got to practice it almost when there's no pressure so that we can then increase the complexity, increase the dynamics, and then we have the capacity.
Yes.
It's like you don't learn to drive in the middle of rush hour and on the highway. No, you get a car park and it's big and there's no cars and
Yes.
it's still terrifying.
Yes.
Over time, you build up the space. I think it's a really good reminder that we'll often know what to do. As you said, leadership isn't rocket science. We know what to do. It's not about knowledge. It's about under pressure, under stress in that moment.
Being able to, yes.
How do I lead myself? How do I recover back to my best self, not my squashed self?
Yes. And here's the extra tricky part. This book is written for people who are already successful. You coach people who are already successful. Otherwise, they wouldn't be coming to you. And the more successful we are, the more we know, we think, I got it. It's easy. It's fine. This just happened to me right before this conversation. I am running a session for a CEO and his extended leadership team. And there's an exercise, an experiential exercise we're going to do. It's quite complex. And because there are going to be 40 people in the extended leadership team, someone from inside the team, let's call her Anne, is going to run this exercise with half the group, and I will run the exercise with the other half. Anne is incredibly experienced, capable, and smart. I send her all the materials. She says, oh, this is really straightforward. I've got this. And I said, yeah, I know you've got this. Probably you're really smart, but this is going to be a lot harder than you think. She's like, really? Yeah. You need to set up time with your team to do a dry run. I don't think I need that. This, I've done things like this before. She was dragging her heels. So I said, yeah, by this date, we need to do it. And this morning we did it. Guess what? 5 minutes before we go live, she calls me in a panic. She's like, okay, I'm really panicking. I think I'm really going to screw this up. Like, okay, calm down. Here's what we're going to do. She ran it. Of course, there were several flubs because it's the very first time she's doing it. But we think our brain convinces us, I'm busy. I've got this. I'm a successful person. So the more successful you are, the more important it is to simply mechanically practice this stuff first.
It's a really, really good example because I can also see how pressure changes the dynamic even within the example. When we've got time and space to look and to forecast and to plan or to strategize, you go on a retreat, we do our strategy for the next year. Oh, it's easy. I can look through it. This makes perfect sense. I've got it.
Yes.
Pressure of 5 minutes about to start. The knowledge and information is the same, but everything is different.
Exactly.
Mhm. That's what
Exactly.
the actors call stage rage that they have,
Yes,
like just before going on stage, or
exactly.
or singers is like those 5 minutes before. Once they're on there, that's different, but it's like
Yes.
it's exactly the same.
Yes, which is why before, and this was a fantastic piece of guidance that someone gave me. She said, before every keynote, what's your day, not the day of the keynote, but the day before the keynote. And she had me just envision that, and I wrote down a few things, and then I, like everybody else, got busy and forgot about it. Now the next keynote comes along, and what do you know? Just because I had written it, I had envisioned it, I actually ended up doing it. I arrived 2 days before at the place, at the venue. I had time to work out and go to the spa the day before, get a facial. Guess what? Those are things I had written down, but I hadn't even consciously done it, but because I had created that space. And then I have a ritual right before going on stage. 5 minutes before, while they are introducing me, I'm doing jumping jacks in my stocking feet to get the blood pumping, get the nerves out of the way, so I can walk in with high energy, right? And that pre-preparation, so you're starting exactly where you're supposed to start, really helps to offset that stage fright.
And the pressure. To come back to pressure, it's
Completely.
the same if you have a pressure situation where you say do nothing. It's
Yes,
exactly the same way you're saying take a step back,
yes,
just jump up and whatever to blood to say, okay, now let's
yes,
pick up that pressure thing and see what I need to do. But you took that time to take a step back, to relax, even if it's like you only have 1 minute, but that one
yes.
minute can be so valuable.
1 minute, 30 seconds, 10 seconds. Talk about like you're about to walk into a very stressful board meeting. What are your 30 seconds right before?
And I think, well, walking those 30 seconds before a board meeting, it's fine, but it's like something happens 10 minutes before the board meeting, and hell
Yes,
goes loose. That's the
yes,
moment where you certainly need to go, wait, step back.
yes,
What can I do? Because
yes.
that's where the really the stress goes.
Well, that's where we can follow Steve's formula, right? Stop, breathe, think.
Exactly.
I really appreciate what you said a minute ago. Like, where are you starting from? I think that's a question we get so busy in life, we forget to ask ourselves. Whether it's a keynote, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a phone call, whether it's going into the coffee room and starting a conversation, um, we can put down where we were and step fresh into what's next. And there's that space in between, which doesn't have to be big, but there's space between stimulus and effect. Well, actually, we can have that space, and if we don't create that space,
Yes.
no one will. And when we do, it gives us opportunities to respond differently and make different choices.
Pre-COVID, when we were all at work and in physical meetings, I would often tell my clients, you're leaving conference A, you're going to conference from B. In that space, in just the walk from A to B, intentionally shift your mindset. What do you need to get out of, like, what do you need to do to shake out A? And what are you going to get out of B? What intention do you need to set? In the online world, I encourage people always to start their meetings at 5 after the hour. So it gives them that space not to go back and check on their email, but to just make that transition.
The famous bathroom visit. It
Yes.
is. It's between the rooms. Hey, let me do a bathroom visit, because you just basically say, I can't stop. I do
Yes.
something else. There's nothing else to do
Yes.
with work. And then you come back and it's like that shift
Yeah.
you make.
Yeah. To make a pun of that, you're flushing out the past and then starting fresh with the new one.
Yeah, metaphorically, wash your hands. Absolutely.
Uh, Sabina, I want to ask you something that's been bothering, not bothering, but simmering in my mind for
Yeah.
about 5 minutes. And Steve mentioned this as well. It's this, like for scuba diving. Steve can be the structure for someone if you start diving. The C-suite can be that structure for mid managers. But what happens with the CEO who does not have that structure above? What do you have anything for them, or what's going on there for structure for them?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I mean, obviously, as coaches, we are there for them, but not everybody has a coach or the luxury of a coach. Or sometimes, like, how do I go find, I'm not going to call them from the middle of a board meeting. So another key here is to figure out, how do you make yourself self-sufficient for that structure? And one of the best ways that I know to do this is through what I call in my book micro habits. Micro habits are two things: micro, that is really, 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 really small, and habit, which is every single day. So actually, right now, I like to joke that I have a daily meditation practice. It's true. I have a daily meditation practice. It involves one inhale and one exhale mindfully. Who says that cannot be a daily meditation practice?
Yeah.
And you know what? Every single day when I do that inhale and exhale, I get this big grin on my face because I feel like I've accomplished my meditation goal. And over time, I know that's going to increase. In
Talk
fact,
about minimalist. I love it.
exactly, because that makes it practical. If it was 30 minutes, there is no way I would create a habit out of it. If it was 10 minutes, I wouldn't. A
There's
minute,
a lot
I've
of
tried a minute. It still doesn't work for me,
there's
right?
a lot of research to support this as well. I love it. It's like, if we can make this step small enough that it's almost embarrassing not to,
Yes.
like it's almost harder to not do it than it is to do it. That's the place to start.
That is exactly the place. I mean, I finished my first marathon of my life this year. And 3 years ago, I could not even run an entire mile. A marathon is 26.2. The only way I did this, succeeded in doing this, because I've been trying to do it for 20 years, succeeded in doing it, is micro habits where I would increment initially only 1/10 of a mile every 2 weeks. That small. And here I was now finishing the marathon. So for CEOs and executives at the very top, it's about find with somebody who is a safe person to talk to, figure out what are a couple of simple structures that are going to help you. Is it focusing on your breathing? Is it focusing on a pause? Is it focusing on being the last person to speak? Whatever it might be, make it small, halve the size of it, then have it again, then have it again, until you get to that ridiculously small where you laugh out loud. Now practice that. And therefore, in those moments, without the help of anybody else, you don't have your dive instructor with you, you're able to do that because it's become second nature.
How do you help onboard leaders to the concept of this? Because what I see with a lot of us as leaders is big is good, bigger is better, and small is
Yes.
insignificant and unimportant. And if it's not big enough to matter, it doesn't matter.
It
And if
doesn't
it's
matter.
not big, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. You know, I get so much pushback. It's funny how much pushback I get when I say, yep, that's great. You can do one push-up a day. And they're like, come on, Sabina, that's just so wimpy. That's so wussy. Like, it's just, yeah, that go big or go home, as you were saying. And so
Yeah.
what I tell them is, this is fantastic. It's great that you are so ambitious, right? And that's wonderful. Feel free to do 25 push-ups a day, but you're only going to get credit for one. Okay. So when you come back to our next coaching session, I have this thing called a yes list where they do a yes, no every day. As long as you've done at least one, you get a yes, right? So you come back, and what will happen initially, often, the ones that are most resistant, they come with the first week, they've done it, right? Because they so want to prove me wrong and I'm going to go big or go home. So the first week, they're like, look at me. I did it at 25. I'm like, great, good for you. Let's see what week 2 and 3 entail. And of course, they fall off the wagon. And then I say, okay, well, look, obviously 25 doesn't work. Are you open to going down to 10? Yeah, that's totally doable. And again, there's a little spike and then there's a bump again. So they have to learn the hard way sometimes.
It's a really good reminder, practically speaking, for us as coaches. that a lot of times when we start new behavior, we can force our way through it.
Yes.
And what we're talking about here is not forcing our way, because as soon as we've got to force through something, we're creating additional pressure. And
Yes.
the whole purpose of the conversation here is, what do we do in response to pressure so we can show up differently? We don't
Yes.
want to have to work hard when we're working hard already.
Yes.
And that's the magic of these micro habits.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Building them in, building that muscle memory, as
Yeah.
you said. And so suddenly, oh, we've done it without even thinking.
Yes.
That's a
And
habit.
and trust me, you'll get to a marathon. I didn't get to a marathon for 20 years trying to go big. I got to a marathon by playing small.
Yeah, it's the
So
rabbit and the tortoise and the hare.
exactly, exactly. And that's why I'm a minimalist contrarian.
That's fantastic. Hey, how did you come up with the title for the book? You're the boss. And there's a subtitle there I can't see.
Yeah, the subtitle is Become the Manager You Want to Be and Others Need. And the story of You're the Boss and the title is a pretty straightforward one. Talk about power. So I brainstormed with the help of people, probably about 400 different titles. And we were all going around it because titling is so difficult, as you know, from work you all have done. And we had like a few good ones. And then my editor at Simon and Schuster came and said, we talked to our CEO, and he said the title should be You're the Boss. And so we think that's what we should go with. Now, of course, the CEO has spoken, so we should all fall in line. But it wasn't that, it really resonated for me as the author to say, yeah, because it has so many different connotations. I mean, while this book is about managers, I cannot tell you the number of people who have told me it has helped them become better spouses, better parents, better human beings, because there are these very practical ways to deal with pressure and power that you face in a number of different scenarios. So you're the boss of that. You are in charge of that. You have some agency to make a change, despite all these things that are caving in on you from all different directions in the world that we live in.
It's interesting when listening to you, the title, You're the Boss, and then the subtitle is actually saying, but you didn't say it, you're the boss and be the leader for others.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it's a both and. I mean, why are you there? If you don't have anybody willing to follow you, then you have no business being there.
As you're pointing to, if I say this often, if we won't follow ourselves, how can we expect others to do so?
Right?
It's a great reminder. Hey, Sabina, this has been fantastic. And as always, stacks of notes and conversations can definitely continue. But for those that want to learn more, other than getting the book, how can people connect with you and learn more about your work and the way that you're seeing the world?
Well, they can check out a number of podcasts, but probably the single source would be to go to my website, sabinanawaz.com. And because there you'll see a bunch of stuff. And if you've bought the book, you can download tools and workbooks, worksheets, and discussion guides that can help you deepen the work for yourself.
Great. Thank you very much, Sabina, for this really interesting chat about pressure and how to deal with it. So, and being the boss from yourself. So thank you very much for sharing with us and everybody listening in. And everybody listening, thank you for listening. And we'll see you in the next episode. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to The Coaching Edge. Until next time, keep coaching and keep growing.